Shane Reti.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. It's a pleasure to speak on this, the final call on the Atiawa Settlement Bill. E raurangatira mā, ngā mihi ki koutou I tēnei rā, mō tēnei mahi hirira, nau mai, haere mai. Mr Speaker, I wanted to just very briefly speak to some of the introductory sentences at key parts of this bill, because what is said is enlightening, but what is written is binding. And so I think it's important to cover some of these points. Mr Speaker, there are 5 key points to this bill. Let me start with the acknowledgement. The opening sentence to the acknowledgement states, "The Crown acknowledges that despite previous efforts made in the 20th century, it has failed to deal in an appropriate way with the grievances of Te Atiawa, and that the recognition of these grievances is long overdue. The Crown hereby recognises the legitimacy of the historical grievances of Te Atiawa." It then concludes the acknowledgement with the statement, "The Crown acknowledges that its breaches of the Treaty of Waitangi and its principles during the 19th and 20th centuries have together significantly undermined the traditional systems of authority and economic capacity of Te Atiawa and the physical, cultural and spiritual well-being of its people. The Crown acknowledges that it has failed to protect the rangatiratanga of Te Atiawa in breach of its obligations under Article 2 of the Treaty of Waitangi." Mr Speaker, there are several key sections here. The apology follows. Part 3, Part 1, Clause 15 talks about the settlement being final. The cultural redress follows in Part 2, Clause 26 and 27, cultural redress under conservation protocols, fishery protocols and taonga tūturu, which is further defined under the Protected Objects Act. And it's kind of interesting because taonga tūturu relates to an object that relates to Māori culture, history or society and was or appears to have been manufactured or modified in New Zealand by Māori, or brought into New Zealand by Māori, or used by Māori and is more than 50 years old. That's encompassed under the cultural redress. The final section is the commercial redress, which talks about the ability for the Crown to transfer properties. The Minister of Conservation may grant easements and the right of first refusal on right of first refusal land. A very short summary, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, negotiations began decades ago on this settlement, and many who have worked on this are not here today. Many have taken that long last walk to our Heavenly Father, and we advance, or they're advancing the prosperity of their people, their values and traditions. And so, Mr Speaker, we give them thanks and we commend their bill to this House today. Thank you.
Kia ora. The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Te Atiawa Claim Settlement Bill, first reading.
The question is that the Te Atiawa Claim Settlement Bill be considered by the Māori Affairs Committee. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. And to the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Te waiata.